Depends on where you are. For you, it's morning. For us, it's afternoon.
Yep.
All right. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Yes, let's see all the emails about to get roasted. Let's do this.
I will be kind but fair. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And I saw that we had a lot of people coming in here from agencies. So I would love to see in the comments who is working in sales, who is working in agencies, and who is an entrepreneur here, just to see the kind of variety we got showing up today.
Yes. We could do that, and then we could do so Bono was in San Francisco for Dreamforce, so we could do favorite U2 song.
Oh my
Favorite
gosh, yes.
favorite U2 song, I think I'm feeling right now.
All right, so you got to do that. You got to tell Becc what's your favorite U2 song.
Favorite U2 song, or you can say Michael Jackson or Prince. Which one? Which one do you prefer and why?
Ooh. You have all the fun questions. I never asked this type of questions.
I used to work in music. I used to do some booking for some shows and some venues back in Dallas. And there was always these battles on Wednesday nights, and it was Michael Jackson versus Prince, and I would be heated. I'm like, it's clearly Michael Jackson. It's clearly.
He is the clear winner. Come on, guys. All right. It looks like we do have a lot of people here from agencies. That's awesome.
Elevation. That's a good song. Elevation. I listen all the time. I probably put it on repeat like 15 times.
I love it. Sorry,
It's
guys. This is not going to be a cold email teardown. We're actually just going to do karaoke.
knowledge. It's just music knowledge, knowledge straight through.
All right. I love it. Well, I think we can get started because we are a couple minutes past here. So I'm going to go ahead and just introduce Becc really quick for some of you guys that don't know her. She has a very impressive career. She started as an account executive in the trenches, just like all of you guys, and she worked her way up to sales management and VP levels, and before becoming the CEO and founder of Flip the Script, where she is sharing some awesome free sales content all the time. So I'm super excited to have her on because she always has the absolute best content on cold emails. So yeah, we're going to get started. It's going to be, we're breaking down cold emails one by one. We'll read them out. We'll explain a little bit of context, and then she'll go through and just tear them apart.
I'm pumped.
I know. I'm so excited for this. All
Nicholas
right.
is too young for any of them. He said he's too young for you two, Michael Jackson. I'm feeling pretty old. I was feeling
My
good.
gosh.
Nicholas just, he
I
just,
mean, I'm feeling old. Like, this is crazy. Too young for any of them. Ah, yeah, with the little winky face. Okay, I see you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Up here. Wait, let me. It's easier for us. Okay, great. So here we are, and all right, so here we have the first email up, and I'll go ahead and read through it. So we have, hello, greetings of the day. Quality backlinks are hard to come by, and guest posting is a great way to get them. However, guest posting itself is time consuming, especially when your goal is to get do follow backlinks. Don't worry, I might have a solution for you. I and my team can help you improve your website search engine rankings by guest posting on relevant, high authority, and trustworthy websites and blogs. Guest posts from our team have been featured on websites like dumblittleman.com, tonights.tv, addictedtosuccess.com, some links, and more, and currently have more than 4,000 plus websites in our network. Contact us today to learn more about how we can help in content promotion, get high quality and authority backlinks to improve your website search engine rankings. And just for a little bit of context, this was from an outreach manager from a digital agency, and they are targeting people looking to build high quality backlinks. I know I've received a ton of emails like this personally.
okay. Okay, and I have roughly 3 minutes to tear this down, correct?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Okay. So first things first, I would say, and I'm gonna go negative only. There are a couple good things I'm sure to every email. For this one, for instance, the positive to this is it's very readable, meaning they use punctuation a lot. They use commas, effectively. They use a lot of parentheses, which helps me from an aesthetic view. But I'd say that the first thing that stands out to me right off the bat is there's a lot of buzzwords. So backlinks, and I know that that's going to be part of your product, but there's a lot of like typical buzzwords that I would see. And the more that you use buzzwords, the more that they're going to see you as a sales rep right off the bat. So one of the hardest climbs to overcome, the first piece of outreach is, do they read it? And that's going to come down to, do you pattern interrupt what a normal sales email looks like? So this kind of fits the profile of what a normal email would look like. So you're already at a disadvantage that they'll read it at all. So a couple examples of that is, hello, you don't include their first name, greetings of the day is very, very formal. It's, something that people would typically use. And you went straight into product here. So, from a high level, emails should always, from front to end, be about the person, like their buyer persona, their metrics, the problems that they're typically running into, which you didn't do a terrible job here, like especially when you gave the goal, that was a positive. But I'd say my first quote unquote correction would be, there's too many buzzwords in it. The second one would be, you included a lot of social proof, but I'm not sure why that social proof is relevant to me. So typically with social proof, kind of the rules of the game is, if you give someone too small, and I'm someone that's big, I'm thinking that's great for that mom and pop shop, but we're LinkedIn, for instance, so that wouldn't be relevant to us. If you give someone who's too big and I'm too small, I'm thinking, well, that's great for LinkedIn, but I'm too small. And you never know a negative association that someone might have with the brand. So giving all of these social proof, everyone seems to have the bells of the ball when it comes to social proof. But usually when I take a peek behind the scenes, it's going to be a couple of licenses or a couple of people from those enterprise brands. And it typically isn't going into what problem you were able to solve with that client. So I'd say social proof, by and large, I tend to stay away from, specifically in the first email. So I'm not wondering social proof until I'm lower down the funnel. And the last correction that I would really have here is, there's something called a peak end rule, which means that people are going to hinge off of the last thing that you say, really heavily. And on the last thing that you say, there's no clear ask here. Meaning the clear ask is that I should take the initiative to contact you, which is going to put you at a disadvantage. So on the last, I try to do what I call iron fist in a velvet glove, meaning be very clear on what I want. Like a great example of not doing that is saying like, hey, I noticed you downloaded content. Yeah. So did you have any questions about it? No. Okay. See ya. When really you just wanted a meeting. So I'd be very clear on what I want. I want a 15-minute meeting or 30-minute meeting to unpack X, Y, and Z. And then I would follow it up with a push-pull of what I would say is like all of the quote-unquote good juju language that people usually use, hope you're well, et cetera, et cetera. I would use in the last line. So my last correction here would be the ask is, it's not super clear. And if it was, and I'm reading it correctly, it said I should reach out to you and I should go to a hyperlink, which I would not be incentivized to do. I don't know where this link leads. I don't know if it's going to take me into spam, et cetera. And that I would have to reach, it would all be on me to set up some time. So those would be my three high levels here would be the social proof. It's not about them. It uses too many buzzwords. And the CTA is a little rough on the end.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Great advice. And for that CTA, I mean, there's a couple ways you can go with that. You can ask for an interest CTA, or instead of saying something vague like contact us, you can be a lot more specific in exactly what they need to do. And that usually helps.
Right.
All right. So we'll go ahead and go for our second email here.
That wasn't too tough.
No, you didn't kill them. I think they're very happy about the results there. All right. And so our second one here is going to be asking a question to increase response rates. So we have hi first name and then a personalized icebreaker. Yep, icebreakers are great. With all that you lead, our endless calls to AT&T to manage network services are challenges with contact center solutions, keeping you and your team from growing your business. When it comes to telecom, many business and IT leaders find themselves in one of three situations. And there's three pictures here. Number one, stretched thin, looking to cut costs, can't hire new team members. Telecom projects, such as dealing with Comcast, are necessary but painful. Number 2, looking to implement a critical telecom project such as contact center or cybersecurity, need the right business and technical expertise to succeed. Or number 3, all is well and telecom infrastructure is running smoothly right now. Could you please reply with a simple 1, 2, or 3 to let me know your situation? We should all be at 3. Thank you in advance. Let me see, and look forward to hearing from you. Cheers, and with the signature. And just for a little context on this, this is a sales rep for a telecom sales company. They're targeting IT directors, and they're A/B testing this email with a more traditional email. I'm guessing what they mean by more traditional is probably not the images with options. And this email is the first one in the sequence.
Okay, so that's really helpful context. So I've got 4 things to dive into here. So the thing I like about it is, again, it's readable. They use punctuation really, really heavily, and like it's broken up in a way that I can digest it. And it seems a little friendly, which is nice, a nice touch. The things that I would key in on here. Well, the first thing is this question in the beginning: with all that you lead are endless calls to AT&T to manage your network services or challenges with contact center solutions, keeping you and your team from growing business. It's a bit lengthy. You kind of lost me halfway through there. I made my way back, but it's a bit lengthy. But the real problem with that question is this is what I would call a leading question. So it's essentially the more that you're leading the jury, so to speak, and you're like, do you want to lose weight? Do you want more money? Do you want to deal with those endless bills, X, Y, and Z? The more that they can feel that the intent of your question isn't understanding, that it's to get you somewhere, it's going to be essentially in the wrong ego state. So Eric Byrne talks a lot about this in games people play. He's known as a father of transactional analysis, and basically he's studied conversations, transactions that people are having by way of conversation. What he found was there were 3 ego states, and the minute that you're trying to lead someone somewhere with your questioning, then like essentially they're going to flip into child adaptive ego state, and they're going to rebel against responding because they can feel it. So the sales industry is ridden with these, but I'd say the more leading the question, or the more that the prospect is positive that you want a certain type of answer, or you want them to buy, and that's why you're asking the question, the more they're going to shut down and not actually give you the information that you need. So this question basically leads me to think that you want me to, like, I don't think there's an appropriate answer to this question. And the reason I say that is, I mean, there's essentially 2 questions in here. There's one at the top and then there's one at the bottom. Like, I can tell that you're not trying to get me to give you information to my business for my own best benefit with this first question. So that's the first one. The second one is, again, it's putting onus on me of, could you please reply with a simple 1, 2, or 3 and let me know your situation. Basically, that's number 1, putting them in the villain chair and you in the victim chair of like, you've done everything that you can and they're the villain that just needs to respond. So I can't go too much into it, but basically I'd study attachment theory. And basically, if you haven't invested in me, a certain amount, and that means time, research, and I'm positive this email's to me, someone's not going to be able to, from a psychology view, invest back by giving you some of their time. So asking them, can you just give me 1, 2, or 3? Like, I would read that as like, it's not my job to give you my situation. I'm still not sure what's in it for me if I do tell you my situation. And like, you've kind of bucketed me here. The third thing, and I'm going to be brief on these last 2. The third thing, I like pattern interrupts off the beginning. Icebreakers, meaning being silly or making jokes, I actually don't like. I try to lean away from. So the more silly you are with your prospect right off the bat, it conveys to them that you're comfortable enough with them to be silly. So it can denote that you don't have your bereft of respect for them. So if I was to meet, let's say former President Barack Obama, then I would be extremely respectful. I wouldn't crack any jokes right off the bat because I didn't know if that was okay yet. So I try to always be 10% more, let's say formal. That doesn't mean you have to hit buzzwords, but more formal with my prospect than they're being with me. Like, let them lead the way into breaking out of that persona. And then the last one here is assumptive closes. So when you say thank you in advance or looking forward to hearing from you, from the ego state perspective, that means that you're expecting to hear from them. And so they inherently flip into child adaptive and they say, I don't want to do whatever you're telling me to do because you expected for me to do it. So again, these are more niche items, but thank you in advance. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks even as a sign off can flip them to where they don't want to respond, even from a buyer persona perspective, they see value in the tool.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And just to give a little bit of clarification on the icebreaker, for Lemlist users, that's actually going to be a personalized sentence. Some
Yes.
people go for like the funny point, and some people like go for the actual personalized sentence based on, information about the lead. So it can be good if you go for like the detailed info.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I meant by pattern interrupt is if personalizations can interrupt the pattern because most people aren't personalized. But yes,
Exactly, especially in the first sentence because you can see it in the preview and they're like, "Oh, wait, this person actually has some info on me. What is this?"
totally, 100%.
All right, perfect. And also, just so you guys know, I do see your questions popping up in the side, and we are going to answer them at the end as well. We'll have 15 minutes at the end. And if you see me taking notes, don't worry, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just taking notes for you guys at the end so I can share with you the top key points of what we're talking about today. All right, so let's go on to the next one here. All right, so this is offering a free consultation. So I have resolved company name's LinkedIn issue for you. Hello, this was first name. I got your contact information from your colleague, Miss Name. I wanted to reach out regarding company name social media branding. Company name has a strong reputation in the recruiting niche, but does not reflect well on company name's LinkedIn page. My team has conducted an in-depth audit on company names, LinkedIn branding and marketing, and we found some serious issues with content and marketing. I have attached the report to this email. I have also proposed a solution to fix these problems. If you find the report helpful, I would love to give you a free consultation on how you can resolve this issue. Thanks. And just a bit of context, they are a co-founder for an agency selling social media and marketing services. Their target is B2B tech service companies with revenue from 1 to 5 million, and the majority of their clients are from Upwork or through reference. They just started outreach, but they're having a very poor success rate.
Yeah, so I would want to see what the poor success rate looks like, just kind of right off the bat, like what they mean by that. Is it open rate? Is it reply rate? Or is it booked meetings rate? The first tip that I would have here is from a spam perspective, I see you hit a number of words that would land you in the spam box. So it not only in the spam box, but anytime that you, and this is off of, subjective qualitative experience, anytime that you use the word LinkedIn, they can see it as a promo. They see it as a push notification of like, oh, someone mentioned you as in a post on LinkedIn, and it can filter into the promo side of their box, so they won't even read it. So that would be the first thing. Anytime you use the word free, anytime the word you use solution, problem, no charge, et cetera, specifically in the subject line, it can land you in spam or to where they see you as a salesperson. Overall, I love the approach that you found a problem for them. I very rarely see people do this. What I would push you to do is, instead of telling me that you found problems with my LinkedIn, profile, et cetera, through an audit, if you truly did the audit, I would present one detail about what you found. Like, what's a problem? What's an example that you found? So I've seen a lot of outreach ridden with fake personalization, what I call it. And I don't mean that a personalization that you haven't hooked. I mean, you didn't personalize at all, but you said that you did. So a great example of this is like, I was really impressed by your profile. My CEO sent me your way. I was looking at your website earlier. I noticed that you're growing, and I get a number of these. A great example is I got one yesterday, and they're very consistent, especially recently, where they're like, I noticed that you're growing over at and leading the team over at Groundswell, for instance. And I'm like, that's actually, I'm an advisor for Groundswell. So I have a hard time believing you research whenever I'm just an advisor for them, which obviously that's not my full-time position. So I would read this to the quote unquote, and this could just be my eye to it. I wouldn't believe that you actually have found some issues. that you found some issues for me. That's going to be the most valuable capital, is telling me the things that I don't know that about my business that are hurting me in specific. So instead of saying that, I would want you to prove that. You know, if like I did an in-depth audit and noticed that blank, and you can, point one of the issues, I wouldn't give away the rest of the candy necessarily. I think it's extremely benevolent to give them an entire report of all the things and solutions, and then asking them to jump on a call about it. I'd say, here's one issue, or here's two issues. If you give me 15 minutes, I want to walk through a couple other issues that I found, and I diagnose, how you could solve them pretty quickly, with my engineer. So I've only jumped on one demo in my career, and he did that. But he said something in specific. He was like, did you know when I Google flip the script and Becc Holland dead on that your website doesn't come up? I, looked at your website, and I think it's because your metadata is off. Would you give me 15 minutes, to unpack with my engineer what I think you could do to solve it? And I said, what's your number? Called him and said, dude, you can have the keys to my car if I had one on a Friday night. And we're still friends to this day. So point being, I love the approach if it's real. What I would suggest doing is, like, it's not good enough to say you are growing or summarize about me sections. I would be thinking through it as, if I was the recipient, how positive on a scale of 1 to 10 would I be that you actually personalized to me based on the information that you gave? So you should be able to give one detail if it's not a mass blast, and if it's correct. And if it's not correct, then I would say by and large, you're kind of misleading people here. The last thing I'll say is, and I knew we'd probably run into this, there's an assumptive close at the end. Thanks. So kind of reminds me of my niece. She was, 4 or 5, and she'd walk down the stairs and she'd be like, Aunt B. She calls me Aunt B. She'd be like, Aunt B just went pee-pee in the potty. And she would do. So the thanks at the end kind of gives me that kind of flavor. So I'd say all the best, warmly, with your success in mind, some type of sign off that's not an assumptive close.
Yeah, that's so true. And I get so many of these with SEO as well. So if any of you guys are working with SEO, please, do not say, I read this article and it's amazing. Anyone could have done that. So it depends obviously on how many emails you're sending out and what level of personalization you're adding. But if you really want to increase that reply rate, just take a few minutes, like 2 minutes per lead, and look at the article, and you can just create the personalized sentence line right in whatever tool you're using, and just put one line in there that personalizes the whole thing and describes exactly one issue, like Becc was saying, or if you're using SEO, like the article that you were looking at, or one little piece of the article, whatever it is.
That's the best way to prospect. And one clip is all it takes for me to believe that you
exactly. Yes. Absolutely. When I get emails like that, I always reply, because I'm like, this person actually looked into it and I want to reply to them. Even if sometimes we can't do it, or we're not working with, sometimes it's freelancers and we're not working with them. So even if I'm replying no, I will always reply. And a lot of times I say, hey, if we're ever looking for them, I have a list of people that reached out to me and that did a great job. So always, try to give your best when it's something like this where you're mentioning that you did the work.
Yes.
And all right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next one here. And all right, perfect. So this one is a B2B catering offer. So subject line is, we appreciate you. First name, the past couple of years, especially in New York, we really put a focus on the importance of healthcare workers in our communities. Unfortunately, the labor force hasn't exactly aligned, and many of your team are probably overworked, tired, and need a morale boost if coffee at all hours of the day isn't doing it. How about delicious local food? I wanted to give you a quick shout out to introduce you to, and this is user's company name, a healthcare catering marketplace focused on taking the stress of organizing meals for your hardworking team off your shoulders. Your frontline staff of nurses, aides, and techs are so valuable. Your doctors and PAs are busy saving lives, and you and your administrative team are busy managing it all. I speak for my whole team when I say we appreciate what you do for our community. The easiest way to show you the user company name way is to check out a quick 50-second video I made for you where I demonstrate how simple our platform is. The best part, our account managers can automate this for you for free. And then they would personalize the video, I'm guessing, and put that there. I'd love to hear if we can help offer the staff at company name delicious local meals, save you money and your catering budget, and eliminate the stress of managing team catering, all the dietary restrictions, right? Shoot me a message if you'd like to continue the conversation. Happy watching, signature. And for the context here, this is a sales and account manager for an online catering marketplace, and they are targeting executive assistants or office managers for locations that offer food for their employees.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so thanks for the context. So I have essentially four high level here. The first one is the subject line. We appreciate you. If the whole thing feels a little, good juju all the way through. And for your buyer persona, that makes a little bit more sense. When you said the EA, that makes a little bit more sense. But the subject line here, it looks like a marketing subject line to me. So the goal of a subject line, to me should be to get an open, but not at any cost, not at all costs, meaning it should hook into, the messaging. So I'd ask this person, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think this looks like a marketing email? And that's for anyone. I would ask that to anyone, that you just read back through your subject lines and you ask yourself, if I was the recipient on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, I might shout this out to the chat. I would think through, what's the first thing that you do on a Monday morning? You walk in, your email implodes, and what's the first, like Brianna, I'm going to pick on you. What's the first thing you start doing?
Monday morning, I definitely go through my emails and I'm like, all right, which ones are the important ones?
And how do you, for the ones that you delete, do you always read them before you delete them?
There are times that I do not. I won't lie to you.
It's okay. It's okay. Say, if he's watching, earmuffs, G, earmuffs. Earmuffs.
But usually it's because I can tell it's a marketing email. I'm not gonna lie to you. I see and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that they're just trying to like sell me lunch for today. Okay, this is this one. Yeah, bye, 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 bye.
And how can you tell that it's a marketing email? What does it say?
It might be the subject line.
Yeah, you can't really say it, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
I would tell this person, and just in general, like a quick tip is that the fastest way to get good at email is, especially, there's only three parts to email. Number one, did you pattern enough so they read it? Did they read it? Number two, were you relevant once they did? Relevant according to three different things: relevant according to their buyer persona metric, whatever they're metriced on, relevant according to their problems that they typically need to solve, and relevant according to the triggers that happened to them or that they did, within market, of like just received funding or IPO'd or requested a demo, didn't schedule one, etc. But those are the only three things within relevance. So number two is, were you relevant once they did? And number three, psychologically, did you take care of them along the way? Those are the three parts to email that will get a response. So the first one here is where you're going to take major dings for the subject line is, we appreciate you. I would read that like, we miss you. I get that a lot of like, I would read that as a typical marketing email, and I would delete. So from a high level, Google did a study on how you read emails, and you essentially start at 2 o'clock and you go clockwise. So essentially what that tells you is, if they open the email, they're going to look at the end of the first line. They're then going to loop around to the end of the last line, then to the beginning of the last line, and then to the middle in the body. The problem with that is most people spend all of their brain calories thinking about what's the perfect value prop to get people to say yes. And the reality is, if you don't interrupt the pattern of what a normal sales email says, and this beginning part and this end part, they want to know who you are and what you want before they want to know anything about you. So my first correction here, point being, would be, the subject line reads like a marketing email. So I would think that you would struggle with getting opens. Second correction here would be, it's really long. We spent a long time reading it. Brevity is going to be specifically for decision makers. Now, if you're going to EAs, you're going to have a little bit more time, candidly, but specifically as you're going to decision makers, and specifically when you're hunting up market, like brevity is a pattern interrupt in and of itself. The third thing that I would say here is, this is a leading question. If coffee hours all day long isn't doing it, how about delicious local food? You're asking me to self-diagnose and sell myself on your tool before you have, so it's like, how about flip the script for free training? And you're like, what? Who are you? Like that would be my question right off the bat. The fourth one here is you hit a number of and again, this is me being brutal, meaning if you're putting me as a hound dog on this email to tear it down, which I'm in the chair in the chair for. The fourth thing I would say is you hit a number of different, normal typical words. It's not that they're bad, good, bad, or ugly. It's that they're typical. So I would be like salesperson, and I would log out. So happy Monday. Hope you and your kids are safe during these uncertain times. Just checking in, just circling back, just bubbling this to the top of your inbox. The ones that you hit here are quick shout out, quick chat, introduction, anything to that degree. The second one that you hit here is I'd love to. I hear this all the time. I'd love to jump on a short call and blank, 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 X, Y, and Z. And then the last two items here are giving them their first name. I've seen a number of different introductions. I've seen today. I've seen hello. You can either do hello, hi, their first name, comma, or hey. I would always optimize for hi or no introduction at all as a pattern interrupt. The reason being, if you just give their first name, then if I open an email and it said Becc, comma, right, you're laughing because I'm like, is the IRS here? Am I in trouble? It's a command heavy opener. So basically and I would stress underscore triple asterisk mark to read Games People Play and Beyond Games and Scripts by Eric Byrne. But basically this would be in the parent ego state. So anytime I command you to do anything, do not push this button. I want everyone to jump in the chat. And what's the first thing that you want to do? If I'm like, do not push this button, Brianna, do not push it. What do you want to do?
I might push it. I got to see what happens when I push it.
Right. Why do you want to push it? I just told you not to.
I know, it's crazy.
So anything that's command heavy, let me know what time works for you. Call me back. Or a first name with just the comma is going to be in a command heavy, facet. It's going to, or a proclivity. It's going to put you in the parent ego state, which flips them into the child adaptive ego state, which makes them feel placated at best and not want to respond because of it. Or it's going to make them rebellious by nature. And yeah, the last thing here, I know I'm going deep here, but the last thing here is happy watching. It puts me in the chair, again, in the child ego state chair that you feel like you've given me a favor by sending over a video. I know that it took some time, but essentially it's not necessarily an upside to me to see a video from any cold prospector.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel the same with and I used to do this all the time, honestly, that I'd love to hear if blah, blah, blah. Right. I used to do that all the time when I was sending emails because I was like, oh, I'm just like, oh, I did this email. They're going to love it. I did this video. But the reality is that your lead really doesn't care if you want to hear from them. So you have to really go strong there.
Their perspective is you put a lot of time into it, but their perspective is they're just getting a random email from someone that they don't know who wants to sell them something.
Exactly. So, and their perspective is time is money right there. So
100%.
For sure. All right, we'll go ahead. And yes, I saw to please include that book's title. Don't worry, I will include that later on. So I will go ahead and move to the next one here. All right, so there we go. So we have, this is a breakup email, which I know is very controversial. So that's why I wanted to include it today. So this is performance marketing at company name. And it says that would be first name. I know we've been lying cold for a while now. Would it make sense to talk about this with any of your colleagues at company name? If not, we can let it slide for now. While leaving, I just wanted to drop off 2 resources for you. First one, template to estimate potential SEO traffic. 2, responsive search ad builder. And to get a hold of them, just drop a 1-word reply to this mail. Also, when there arises a need to make a profitable income out of your media spend and to build performance marketing campaigns that are personalized only for company name, you know where to find us. P.S. Leaving my LinkedIn profile and Calendly link here for your reference. Talk soon, best, and then their name. And then just to give you the context here, this is a BDR for a digital agency. They're targeting SaaS companies who just got funding.
Okay. Okay, so that's really helpful context. So breakup emails are controversial. I'm a fan of the a fan of breakup emails. I think that the people, in my opinion, that aren't are usually the people who don't see results from them, and it's usually because it hits a number of different sins within the breakup email. That's actually my top responder. And there's one point, given a normal quote unquote tan that you like, you can move on to the next person. You're going to hit the state of inflection point of, at one point you have to stop. It's smarter to move on to the next prospect. So I've studied this quite a bit. Usually it's going to be 5 emails in my experience, given, again, a TAM of you have three or a few hundred accounts as an SDR, and anywhere from 5 to 10 buyer personas internally where you can talk to. So the biggest sins, I want to go breakup emails, at large. The biggest sins that I see for breakup emails is, number one, I don't believe that you're truly breaking up with me. The point of a breakup email is you're walking out the door in a very high value add way. So it hinges something in their psychology that they don't want you to leave, which is very powerful. But I have to believe you're leaving. I have to believe that it's over. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be nasty, but a couple of things that you kind of let out the steam, in this email is, you're like, hey, just do a one-word reply. I'm always here. I'm putting my LinkedIn profile and my Calendly link. And then you said talk soon. You assumptive close them in a breakup email. When it's like, I need them to believe, for the efficacy of a breakup email, I need to believe, that you are actually going to leave me alone, honor your words, stop emailing me, and that, like, to some degree, you're moving on. So kind of a quick tip there is, probably the 2 most effective words in my breakup email is, my signature is take care. Take care, and then I sign it. The second sin to breakup emails that I see is, you're putting accountability on the prospect for not responding, which puts them in the villain chair and you in the victim chair. So I see this a lot, and I see this one featured in this email of, like, hi, the reason for my outreach is I've emailed you 5 times, or I've cold called you 10 times, and I haven't heard back from you. So right here in the first line, I know we've been lying cold for a while now. So you're basically telling them that they haven't done something. So again, I would study attachment theory and attachment styles, but essentially, most of the attachment styles, if you have an avoidant on the line, they underinvest when you overinvest. So that when they get this, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be like, it's not my fault that I haven't responded to your quote unquote, in their head, garbage email. It's your fault for not writing one that's relevant. If you have an anxious attachment style in the line, then essentially, which is about 23% of the population, they're going to feel bad for this first line, and they're not going to want to respond to you. They're going to go hide behind the cupboard because they didn't give you something. Secure attachment style, which is 56% of the population, essentially, if you haven't given, they match your effort for their effort. So if you haven't given me personalization, customization, my body can't respond by giving you some time back. So this first line where you're saying, like, I haven't heard from you, you haven't done something, I've done everything that I can. I'm the good rep that's called you and focused on you and done everything that I can. I'm the one that's in the right and you're the one that's in the wrong. And I know that, again, this is all in good intent, but I'm supposed to be the wolf on the line today. That's how they're reading it. Is like, oh, you're the good guy and I'm the bad guy, guy or gal that didn't respond. So I wouldn't give any kind of reference to that, except for the opposite direction of, like, I just want to make sure I, follow or tuck my head back in here and make sure I didn't overstep my bounds. Like, you want to say, basically, the hinge of it is you want to make sure that you didn't mess up. So the quickest way from a psychology view to get someone to gravitate towards you is basically to some degree, and people would say, like, oh, fall on your sword. And I'm like, take accountability for why you think they're not responding. Most people aren't responding because you weren't relevant enough.
Yeah, I've seen some people that flat out say, they're like, hey, I think I might have missed the mark here. Like, I'm sorry for that. That's my bad.
And that, yeah, the quicker that you can do that, but actually take accountability. So there's 5 types of apologies within apology science. You can study it with B2B Decision Labs. They did a big study. There's, I'm sorry if you feel that way. I'm sorry that I tried to care. I'm sorry that and you basically overshoot what you did. And then I'm sorry if I blank. And then I'm sorry that I blank. The 5th one is the only effective one. So I would say, maybe it's me, but I get the feeling, that like it's just not of any interest to you. Of like I missed the mark, like I wasn't relevant to you, and I'm the annoying sales rep who can't take a hint. People cringe at that language, but I'm like, look, someone has to take the blow, and let it be me. It shouldn't be my prospect. So that would be my second big correction here. And then I do like the resources though. I do like the resources, adding value, out the door. One thing that I'd add, and then we can go to the next email. One thing that I add is I try to give them something. People can tell your character when they don't give you what you want. So I would try to add a piece of value that has nothing to do with me and my company that they might like, that might help them in their buyer persona. Has nothing to do with proving that you're awesome or that your space is awesome or why they should reach back out. I would say think about their buyer persona. What's an article, or a webinar or a podcast or something that they might like, and highlight a clip. I thought you might like this article in the top 20 questions VPs of sales should be asking, specifically question number 3 on what's the best, when are my reps sending out outreach during the day? Either way, big fan of your team, yada, 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 take care, and then you sign it. So those are my
For
tips.
sure. It's so helpful, and it builds so much trust when you send an outside resource. It's like, hey, it's not, I don't only care about making the sale, I genuinely care about you and making sure that you succeed. And
Totally.
people love that.
It's a marker of how you can display your character. I'll give one quip. I know I'm over on time for this one, but I'll give one quip. If someone, for instance, is like, you're dating someone and they're like, hey, I'm actually going out on a date with somebody else. They're expecting you to blow up and be like, screw you, I never thought, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, instead say, where y'all headed? And they'll say, oh, so we're headed to Venice Beach. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So there's this Italian restaurant you should try and check out there. Go and get the chicken piccata. It's just incredible. Either way, good to hear from you. Hope you have fun on the date. Hang up the phone. It implodes their mindset. You added value, you didn't freak out, and you walked out the door. And that entire date, all they're thinking about is you, and what you just did to them.
Beck's leaving them astonished.
100%. And they're like, how do they know the chicken piccata is great? Who are they going on a date with? Yada, yada, yada. And you can expect to see a turnaround of 24 hours from you, I guarantee. So add value, always have high class, specifically when walking out the door, and it can be effective.
I bet you guys didn't know you're going to also get dating advice along with karaoke and cold email teardowns. I love it. All right. So
all in one.
all in one. All types of styles here. I love it. All right, let's go to the next one here. Italian, perfect. Okay, so we have this one that is selling to a B2C business or B2C businesses. So we have, hey there, I cannot pronounce that, buongiorno, MUC, good day in Italian. I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out because I stumbled across company and saw that you were promoting services and ended up taking a peek further. Most city-based businesses in your field want to drive consistently high quality, hey, I'm ready to book, so let's party leads to fulfill your market's need and scale higher profit margins every year. Surprise, this is exactly what I specialize in. My name is blank, and I help businesses like you scale their profit margins through our proven PPC strategy. I saw you are already doing a fair bit, but I have 2 to 3 ideas that I'd like to explore with you to increase appointments. I know your curiosity is piqued, but a bit wary, so how about we discuss further over Zoom? I'm harmless, but my field expertise does pack a punch. Looking forward to hear your feedback. And for the context here, this is an ad expert for a digital marketing agency. They're targeting high ticket B2C businesses. Their main target are dentists, actually looking to open new offices, but haven't figured out their strategy yet. And they also gave me their subject line, which is, "Hey, I have an idea for company name."
Okay. Okay. So the thing I like about this email is it's super conversational and it's readable. I'm gonna give 5 rapid fire tips. Number 1, you always want to be balanced. You can't be casual, 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 joke, 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 casual, 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 emoji, 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 so to speak. So this reads to me, and I'm going to close my eyes when I say this. I hope that the person doesn't take this. This reads arrogant to me. It reads like someone who thinks they all got it going on and they think that it's a favor for me to get an email from them. So like it leads with hey, which I always recommend hi. Hey's too casual for me, of like if you're talking to the right person, you're talking to someone, and none of these are going to be showstoppers, but they're going to add up throughout the email when they get this perception at you. Your point blank range, meaning your cold email is the only experience they have with you, so every word matters. So you lead with kind of a joke, so to speak, here, with the thing in Italian. I don't know if they're Italian. I would hope that they are, if you're leading with that. You then go into what I would call wasted tech. I hope this email finds you well, which if you can, just as a quick tick, strike through anything and you don't lose progression to the email, I would suggest doing so. Hope you're well. A happy Monday. Hope you and your kids are safe during these uncertain times, specifically in the first line, because it can be deleterious, meaning, you're using your most valuable real estate, a la the Google study of where people are reading. I like the rest of this line of I'm reaching out because I stumbled across blank and saw that you were promoting services. Again, I'd want you to prove that to me with just one clip. Saw what you like, say what you saw that I was promoting. That's going to be the pattern interrupt. So Bloom and Zygarnik, I would look this up. It's something called the Zygarnik effect. Basically what she did, she was a Lithuanian psychologist in Berlin, and she found out that basically waiters and waitresses were 15 to 17x more likely to remember tabs that weren't closed out over tabs that were. So she did a study with 2 cohorts of people, basically had them both do 20 tasks, but one cohort interrupted 3 of them, and found that they were 15 to 17 times more likely to remember the tasks that they interrupted over the ones that they completed. So point being, the pattern interrupt here is the normal pattern is to not know who they are and to not say something specific. So I would use the thing that you saw that they were promoting in this case. What makes me know that this is a quote unquote mass blast campaign is you put the city as a dynamic tag in the second line. So I'd say good approach, but it needs to actually be that approach. If I saw you're promoting this service, and again, it's a little casual here again. So I got casual with the stumbled, and then I got casual again and casual with the hey. So I just warn you about balance. Here's another quick tip. Anytime you say my name is, or the minute you say your company name, it transitions them into business mode and seeing you as a sales rep, which is what you're fighting against. So most of my emails, I didn't even mention my company name. Certainly, it doesn't matter to them what my name is. Doesn't matter to them, like, that guy that highlighted the problem for me. He could have lived in Chicago. He could have lived in, Morocco. He could have lived in Paris. It didn't matter to me. He highlighted a problem. So anytime that you highlight your business name or company name, if you're going to do it, you did it at the end of the email, which is better. But I would say I wouldn't waste the text on that. And then this last line, and then it can transition. I know your curiosity is piqued. That's assumptive. And again, it reads, I know that you're not this way, but it reads as arrogant of like, not really, bro, is what I'd be thinking in my head, just because you flip me into the wrong ego state. So generally speaking, if I'm assuming that someone got value out of something, I would never say that. I would never say that, because from an ego state perspective, they're going to flip into child adaptive, and they're going to, like, anytime you say enjoy, someone's like, okay, you're not that great. But if you're like, we can't do anything right, and they're like, well, wait, you can do something right. So if, again, we were to go on a first date and I talk about myself for the first 20 minutes and how awesome I am, what would you think of me? Probably, probably not that great,
I'm not
but
sure there would be a callback in that case.
exactly. And it's like, but why? I just told you great things about me.
I just told you how great I was. I mean,
And it's
isn't that
like,
vital information?
I talk great about me, my company, everything. They're like, okay, Brendan, like, okay, so this reads a little arrogant, and then the last line lands a little arrogant too. I'm harmless, but my field expertise, you're saying I'm smart, I'm educated, I'm blank. It just reads from front to end a little bit like that. But I do like a little bit how pattern interruptive the language is. I just say aim for a balance and then strike the assumptive close. Look forward to hearing back.
Absolutely. And there's a few people asking also in the comments that they were asking about mentioning the company name. It's okay in the signature, but not in the body.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I would say it's not, again, it's not going to be a deafening blow, but the minute you do, expect them to see you as a sales rep at a company.
Yeah,
So I try
exactly.
and keep it away as long as I can. It doesn't matter what my company is. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter
And
social proof. It matters, did I find a problem that no one else found for them?
it's true. Yep. If you're focusing on the problem, if I get any emails that are pointing out an exact problem I have and how they can solve it and it's detailed, I'm already hooked right there.
On the hook.
All right. I think we are all out of time here for running through the cold emails, and I want to move over to questions because I know we have a ton of them here. So I will go ahead and move over to you guys here. Wait 1 second. Let me just.
Sorry, y'all. And brevity is not
Don't worry.
Oh my gosh, we had so many more. We should do another one. We should
I
do another.
had a lot, like, just in case, I was like, I want to have them all, but don't worry. Like, and if people who submit them, if you guys did not get them torn down, don't worry because we'll go through them in the community as well. And I plan on, giving you all your answers. So don't worry about that. And we're definitely going to do more.
I want a second session.
Yes, we will also do a second one.
Wait, leave it up. Leave it up. I did love to. And one of them would love to.
Would love to. Yes, the love word. All right. So all you guys that if you have any remaining questions, yes, we will do another session like this. Don't worry. All you guys that have some questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments now. I'm also going through as well just to see what we started with. There we go. Yeah, we also have, so we already talked about let's see here, the Games People Playbook, but they're asking what the other book was that you mentioned.
Beyond Games and Scripts. Both are Eric Byrne. Another one on psychology is Albert Bandura. He writes a number of different books. And The Evolving Self is another book that I would read. There's a lot of psychology, but Games People Play is the most, to me, groundbreaking. I would read it. I read it probably once a month, once a quarter. Very, very dense. But yes, Eric Byrne with E on the end, Berne.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And then I have one question here. Actually, let me see here. Yep. Just to clarify, should I give the times or let the prospect propose times? So this is when offering a meeting, of course.
Great question. I would, if it were me, I would say give them one time. The minute that you give them multiple times, they see you as a sales rep. A Calendly link, from my perspective, and I've talked to a number of different decision makers about this or leaders about this. It comes off as like you should be scheduling time with me, and they're a DM and you're someone asking for a favor. I would ask for one time. Their question is in their mind: are they available? One of these times. It's, are you worth meeting at all? So I pitch one time and most people respond back, by saying, they're like, well, what if I'm not open at that time? It's like, well, or, what if they're not open at that time? It's like, then they'll respond back and they'll say like, hey, I can't Wednesday at 2, but Thursday at 3, so I'd pick one time and I use the @ sign, and I put 3P because from a linguistic perspective, it draws your eye into it. So I'd pick one time and I'd do Wednesday at 3 p.m., and I would put it their time zone, PT, ET. It's a sign of respect that you
Absolutely.
time zone.
I know. I love that when people are always like sending to me in their time zone and I'm like trying to calculate. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Brianna
okay.
that for me, and it stuck out in my mind that I was like, "Who cares that she did that for me?"
Oh. All right. And then we have this one is good. I see a lot of people asking this very frequently. What about the balance between relationship building and going for the kill in the first email?
So I think, I think there's too high of an emphasis on relationship building, being kind, being empathetic, being human, being all of that stuff. It's like, I don't need more friends. I need people who can find problems. If you really want to have their back or you really want empathy, empathy gets misdiagnosed as sympathy all the time. Sympathy means that you have,
Yes.
feelings of affection towards the negative outcome of another. Empathy just means cognitively. Great book on this is Against Empathy by Paul Bloom. He goes into there's two types. There's cognitive empathy that you understand what they're going through or why they did what they did. You don't feel any way about it though. And then emotional empathy, where you essentially emotionally enter in. And he talks about the value of cognitive empathy and the damage of emotional empathy. So, like in the email, I'm not trying to be good juju, hey, buddy, buddy, all of that stuff. Look at the boat picture in the background, like all of that. It doesn't build rapport. Rapport actually came from a French term, and it means to be brought back. And if I
Yeah.
had to guess what that means is you're on opposing sides with your buyer. You're trying to sell crap to them. They're just trying to solve their problems, and you're trying to bring yourself back to their side. So how you can start with doing that is having the empathy and understanding to understand what's a problem that they don't know about and highlighting that. So I would go for that. So for the kill, it's not a kill, but it in my head, that's the kill. That you're
Yeah.
like, hey, reason for my outreach, I don't know if you know this, but I requested a demo, 3 weeks ago, and I actually still haven't gotten one. This is following outreach from your team. I don't know if you're struggling with churn, but if you give me a shot,
Exactly.
free to, and I'm on the line, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It hooks people and it's just a great way to start a conversation, basically,
Yeah, I'm like,
without
I don't need
asking for too
a friend.
much.
Usually that comes afterwards because I'm thankful to them when they did something like that. I don't
Hmm.
need someone who's nice to me. I need
Yeah.
someone who finds the problems that I'm freaking running into that I don't know about.
Absolutely. And it's very different. Like, we definitely need to make the difference, the distinction between this and pitch slapping, like on LinkedIn, for example. Huge difference between it providing value, showing where you are a good fit, and just like messaging someone the second that you connect with someone.
Show me something I don't know,
Yeah.
that you could send right off the bat, right off the bat. But pitching in general, I
Yeah.
mean, I would, yeah, more for another time. But
Yes. I brought up a sore subject there.
dead.
Um, all right. And then another one is on one email, you said you shouldn't include thank you, looking forward to hearing from you, etc. What do you think the best way is to end a first email?
Yeah, you could end it in a number of different ways. I'd say the ways that I've seen it is seen as all the best,
Mm,
warmly. Cheers is one. I think it's a little overused. Best regards, and cheers are the three most commonly used. I'd worry about pattern interrupt to some degree.
yeah.
I would say all the best, warmly. I've used with your success in mind. You
Hmm.
know, always looking forward is the one that I use for marketing emails in general.
Yeah.
But I'd say just be sure that there's not an assumptive close, that and it's at the last note too. So it's extremely
Yes.
damaging.
It's so
Like,
important.
to meet with you Wednesday at 3 and everything riles up in their psychology being like, Brendan, I'm not going to meet you Wednesday at 3. And so like that's the last note that you leave them on, is you bend it out of your favor even if they wanted to respond. And that's the third bucket psychologically. Did you take care of them along the way?
Absolutely. And always like people remember the last thing that you leave them with. So you gotta leave it off on a good note. And
Hmm.
then another question we had here, I'll have a few more questions, but this one is that they understand what personalization is, but they're struggling on how to introduce themselves in the first message without being too like businessy and salesy.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I wouldn't introduce myself at all. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care who you are. I only care who you are if you say something first that makes me care. So I would scrap any my name is, I'm with blank, we're the number one blank provider, we work with blank and blank and blank. Another one that I didn't clue in on is we help people help. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh gosh, they need to be helped, and you're the helper, you're the savior. So I would say I wouldn't introduce myself. Reason for my outreach is I saw you wrote this, I saw you wrote this article on blank. One line that stood out to me is when you said blank, 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 and blank.
Yeah.
And then the second line is hooking it into a question. So, another long topic for another time, but I'd say, you have to pattern interrupt. I want everyone on this line to do me a favor. I want you to take out, pen, piece of paper, notes, whatever you have, on your computer. And for the next month, it's the most valuable thing that you can do, apart from listening to anyone, is just write down all of the top phrases that you hear salespeople say. Looking forward to hearing back. I'd love to, quick chat, quick introduction, coffee, solution, problem, help, make that list, go to your spam filter, see all the emails that are in there and why. And then also over the next month, when you get emails, just be monomaniacal about when you get emails and you delete them, before opening them and after opening them. Why did you delete them? Did you read through the entire thing? Do you know what they do? Did you read through their social proof? Did you click and use that as your North Star for how you should prospect to people? You see quick chat and you're like, oh, then like, don't use quick chat. Don't use quick chat. So I'd say right off the bat, that is the most effective when you walk into a retail store, and Brianna, I'm going to pick on you, and I say, how can I help you today? And what do you say to me? What do you
I'm
say
like,
back?
I don't know. Like,
If I'm like, what can I help you with today? And you just walked into a store, what would your reaction be? Do you
it
want to
would
talk?
just be like, no, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. It'd be like, no, thank you. Or a lot of people say, I'm just looking. Or
Yes.
they send me an email. Or how many people on the line have told someone over the last 6 months that they're running into a meeting when they weren't actually running into a meeting? What were
Oh
you
my
really
gosh.
What did you really want instead? And why did you say, I'm running into a meeting? Think through your buying behavior. And when you white lie, why
Yeah.
did you like, what does it sound like? So now you have the guidebook for when your prospects do it to you, exactly what it sounds like. So that would be my kind of final, sorry, I know that we're over time here, but just think about how you buy. And when someone approaches you with a clipboard and you're like, oh, not the right person, not the right time, blah, 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 like how do you
Yeah.
read and how does it hit you? And that will inform everything that you need to know whenever you're writing them.
And that's also a great content idea for us as well to be able to look through and kind of help you guys out with some of those words. So we'll maybe create a list for them as well and share those in the community that hopefully will help you a bit.
Optimize end to end. Oh, I
Yes.
go for days on them, days on them.
And then I'll have one more question, and then the rest of them I think I'll answer in the next slide. So I have one question that says, is it okay to put a picture of your platform in the email to show what the outcome is?
I would say certainly for a first cold email, no. Would be my perspective. Now, screenshots are going to be on your side. One way that you can use them is if you're taking a screenshot of their LinkedIn profile where you
Mm-hmm.
found the personalization. But I'd say from a high level, the reason I say screenshot, it is a pattern interrupt for me. But the reason I say no is because you shouldn't be describing product in a cold email. You shouldn't
Yeah,
be describing product on a cold call. You shouldn't even be describing product in a discovery. You should
for
be
sure.
discovering things about them from a high level. A quick note here, I know me and G did a video on all the different patterns. Some people are like, oh my gosh, this is almost unpalatable because we were rattling them off. The reason I know all the patterns of what not to do and what's really bad is because I've done them all. I'm the master. I've done everything wrong that you could even think of, like that and then some. And so, running into the negative side effects and ramifications is how I learned of them. Like, oop, that didn't go well, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say before anyone thinks that I'm any kind of expert here, I would say I am an expert. But my expertise is doing everything incorrectly at scale and seeing the results and
For
then writing
sure.
on why. So, I mean that to say that cold outreach is an incredibly difficult craft. And so I was really excited to see, everyone pouring the emails today and volume up. Takes a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely. And I think it's great that you're able to share all this with them as well from your experience, because I know that that's something that, not a lot of people share so candidly. So we really appreciate that as well.
I'm like, here's the fire that burned me, and here's
Yeah.
when I burned that house to the ground accidentally. This is exactly what match I used.
I know. I love it. I love it. It's really going to help people. And I know it's kind of rough to get your email broken down, but I also appreciate all of you guys for submitting them and getting the feedback and taking it and improving. I mean, that is just like the best thing that you can do for yourself. Also, I just wanted to close on this because we are running over time here. I just wanted to say there's a lot of questions about where we can get the info from today's session. So I'll go ahead and go to the next one. But in the community, you will have in the Get Help space, most of you guys are in the community already, but you'll have the recording of the workshop, a recap of the biggest cold email problems that we ran through today. And I will also create a to-do list for you to modify your cold email copy based on what we talked about today. And in case you are not already in the community, let me send you the link now. And then also, you should also check out Beck's content on Flip the Script, because she is sharing some fire stuff and it is just amazing, the stuff that she goes through and how candid she is about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for everyone for submitting these emails today. I had a lot of fun.
I know, it was so much fun. They even got some dating advice,
Yeah. Just be like, go to this restaurant, order this thing. So good to hear from you, and hang up that phone.
You
24
got
hours,
this.
48, but you'll get a turnaround. The man of your dreams and responses with Colin.
I love it.
Oh my
All right,
goodness.
guys, we're going to go ahead and end this here, but it was great talking to you today. Great breaking everything down. And I love seeing your feedback in the comments. And for sure, look out for all the additional content based on this in the community. And we will be having future events also with Becc, so we can finish breaking down this complete sequence that everyone sent to us. And again, thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much.